Sweet Pet, System, Playing Pig and Eating Tiger, Cruelting Tang San. Martial Soul Hall Lineup. See God. Excellent Practitioner. Are you ready to welcome the inheritance of God? Tang San. I'm ready. See God. Please grant me strength. Power beyond the world. I can finally seek revenge. Zijun, please wait for me. See God. Hahaha. It's been tens of thousands of years. Finally met a person with extraordinary talents. Kid. Tell this seat that you. What did you just say? Tang San. Please grant me strength from the sea god. Sea god. No, it's the last sentence. Tang San. Revenge Zijun. Sea god. Child. Although you are a rare genius, only a rare genius can inherit the throne of this deity, so. Your sea god 9 exam failed. Tang San. Why? Why? Sea god. Why? Do you want to stay away from this seat? This seat is looking for inheritors, not for death. Hurry up and leave. Get out, don't say you've been to Sea God Island. Keywords of the novel. Douluo continent. I am the fiancé AE of Qian Jianxue without a pop-up window, Douluo continent. I am the fiancé AE of Qian Jianxue. Complete download of TXT. Douluo continent. I am the fiancé AE of Qian Jianxue. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Both parents are divine kings. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Both parents are divine kings. In the preface, the protagonist stayed in the divine realm for 6 days and then grew up to 6 years old. Due to the setting of 1 day in the divine realm and 1 year in the lower realm, in order to avoid the age difference between Qian Renxue and other characters, it has to be written this way. Divine Realm. The mansion of the god of destruction, a charming estate. A young man who appears to be in his early 20s, staring at the beautiful woman with light green long hair in front of her, her face was covered in a smile. How many years have passed? Finally, it's been hoped for. The beautiful woman in front of her was full of love on her face, looking down at her bulging abdomen and exclaiming happily. Gently stroke your abdomen with your right hand, as if caressing a baby. Yeah, we're finally waiting for this child. Thank you for your hard work, little green. Half squat on the ground. Leaving a head of white medium long hair, her handsome and majestic cheeks lightly leaned against the beautiful woman's abdomen. He was very happy that in endless years, the couple finally had their first child. And the 2 young men and women in front of me are the God Realm Committee, the second of the 5 great God Kings. The God of Destruction and the God of Life. At the same time. Today is also the day when their child was born. Ding! The invincible force system in the world has been activated. The host should wake up soon in the belly of the God of Life. A baby with a few white hairs on its head is leisurely lying cross-legged in the uterus. Occasionally, a few bites of sheep come to hydrolyze and quench thirst. This baby drinking amniotic fluid is our protagonist. Unfortunately, due to an accident, I crossed this boundary. By the way, wasn't it already bound to me as early as October? What does it mean now? The baby closed his eyes and asked in his heart. Please prepare for your birth. At the same time, this system will distribute a beginner gift package. Big gift package. What are they all about? Complete set of million-year body soul bones. Complete set of million-year soul rings. And 3rd level gods. Sleeping trough. This is not good, right? Invincible from birth, how else does this make others live? But I like it. The baby in the belly of the God of Life moved with excitement. This move is not bad, it has advanced my birth time by 1 hour. The God of Destruction Mansion. The atmosphere filled with darkness and solemnity disappeared, replaced by the festive atmosphere of lights and decorations everywhere. The entire estate is adorned with festive red lanterns. Besides that, the sky is filled with colorful fireworks shining brightly. These fireworks are all produced by the explosion of soul rings. Among them, soul rings of 10,000 years, 100,000 years, and even 1,000,000 years are not uncommon. In the lobby, the 7 original sin gods under the hand of the god of destruction rarely gather together. Send orders, block all exits, only allow entry and not exit. Dare to resist. Execute on the spot. Walking through the corridor of 7 people, the god of destruction furrowed his brow and stared nervously at the bedroom door after giving instructions. The 7 original sins under his hands, upon receiving instructions, left the mansion. Garrison around the estate with a serious expression. In the courtyard, the god of destruction, who fearlessly faced numerous dangers in the past. At this moment, he appeared extremely anxious, hesitating back and forth and muttering incessantly. Xiaolu, you must be safe and sound. Sigh. Why hasn't there been any movement for so long? The mythological sound of destruction has just fallen. A painful scream came from the bedroom. Ah! Hear the painful moans of the god of life. The god of destruction, who was already nervous outside the door, was even more anxious and restless. There's no way. This is also the first time he has given birth, and now he has lost his composure. It is false to say he is not nervous. Xiao LV. You must live safely. As long as you live. Even if you give up your child, I am willing. The god of destruction couldn't help but shout loudly towards the bedroom. The reason why I am so nervous is because of this painful cry. It was the first time he had heard the painful voice of the god of life. For him as a strict wife, how could he not be nervous? Why not worry? The god of destruction at this moment is like ants on a hot pot, anxious and spinning around. Completely forgetting oneself and the god of life, he is the god of the divine realm. Congratulations on the successful birth of the host. The newbie gift package is being distributed. It has been successfully distributed. The god of destruction mansion. A straight, huge golden beam of light rises from the ground. The beam of light lasts for several breaths and disappears. Instead, it was a magnificent thundercloud. Boom! Over the mansion of the god of destruction. The purple-red lightning is like a wandering dragon, swimming between the dark clouds. Lift your head and look at the sky. The face of the god of destruction is like frost. No wonder since ancient times it has been so difficult for divine kings to have offspring. The power emitted by this thunder calamity far exceeds imagination. Damn it! The power of this thunder calamity brewing is no less than that of a first-level deity. It seems that the legend of the divine realm is true. The god of destruction transformed into a rainbow and murmured to himself over the mansion. In the central conference room of the divine realm, a sound of suspicion sounded. Strange. This thunder calamity is very different from before. Even the thunder calamity of a first-level deity is not so terrifying. New book release, seeking collection, seeking recommendations, stable daily updates. Thank you for your love. Century Egg kneels down here for you. Thousands of words are not enough to describe the gratitude in your heart. Only by adding more words can you be worthy of your favor. The new book is released, Douluo. Rebirth of Commoners, digging the ground can make you stronger. The plot of Tang San. You can follow what you like. Newcomer's new book, I hope everyone supports it. It is updated steadily every day, and any dream linkage that everyone wants to see will have the opportunity to appear. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. For Gods Joining Hands. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. For Gods Joining Hands. Release mental power to perceive specific directions. The evil god sitting in the first place was suddenly surprised and frowned in confusion. The direction of Xiaozi's family. It can't be those guys, said the Shura god sitting aside, his fingers crossed and his elbow propped up on the conference table, negating. What he generally didn't believe was the kind god, and she stood up uncertain. Speaking of today, it should be the day that that little guy was born, right? Hear the 3 words, little guy. The calm face of the Shura god showed a slight fluctuation. Compared to his calmness, the evil god on the throne is not calm anymore. Envy and jealousy are all written on your face. When I say this, I get angry. Why is it that even if they are both divine kings, Xiaozi can have children? Complaining, the evil god leaned back in the chair with his hands clasped in sorrow. As the first group of gods in the divine realm, he and the kind god lived here for countless epochs. But it seems that the heavens do not favor the two of them. No matter how hard they try, the kind god still hasn't conceived a child. On the contrary, as the god of destruction and life for the younger generation, they worked hard for over 100,000 years to have offspring. Isn't that unfair? Who wouldn't be jealous if it were for someone else? Of course. Besides the god of martial idiots and Shura. This guy is either practicing or on his way to fight. As for dating. For him, there is something inferior. Bah! Is there anything more fragrant than a sword? Don't complain, that little one is the child born to the first divine king in the divine realm. Aren't you curious? The kind-hearted god grabbed the arm of the evil god and urged him. Nodding, the evil god stood up, opened the space passage, and the 3 of them arrived at the mansion of the god of destruction in the blink of an eye. Boom! Purple-red lightning with a diameter of tens of meters flickers in the clouds. That terrifying oppression, even a few people as divine kings are extremely afraid. I'll go. Is it possible that this thunder raid was prepared for the little guy? This is too outrageous, isn't it? Looking up at the thunder calamity in the sky, the evil god looked shocked. At this point, the thunder calamity has exceeded its previous power. Even the supreme god king, crossing the tribulation is not as terrifying. Wow, wow, wow. In the bedroom, a crisp cry sounded. Standing above the mansion, the anxious god of destruction heard the sound and breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Your Majesty! The young master has been safely born. Look! The bedroom door opened and a maid in maid uniform walked out holding the baby, looking up at the god of destruction standing in the air, Xing Fendeo. Take out the super artifact and destroy the scepter. The god of destruction commanded in a deep voice. Take care of Xiaolu and the child. The real crisis has just begun. After speaking, the god of destruction faces the thunderstorm. The whole body exudes an aura of one person guarding the pass and 10,000 people unable to open it. The purple pupils flickered with light, and a terrifying aura of destruction spread around him. See this scene. The other 3 divine kings in the mansion all offered their divine artifacts and fled in the form of rainbows. I haven't been exercising for many years, so don't worry, Xiaozi. Let's face it together. The evil god spoke up and comforted. Turning his head to glance at the evil god, the god of destruction nodded solemnly. Thank you all. If this calamity can be safely overcome, I won't mind waiting in the lower world to find a successor. After listening to the second half of the sentence from the god of destruction, the 3 evil gods awkwardly smiled. The entire divine realm requires the divine power of the 5 great divine kings to maintain normal operation. Any arbitrary departure is a burden for other divine kings. Among the 5 great divine kings, the god of destruction and the god of life can be said to be the most hardworking and accomplished laborers. The 2 have never been to the lower realm to find the inheritor. There's no other reason. The god of destruction cannot see the talent of the soul masters in the upper and lower realms. Therefore, there is no place for inheritance such as the 9 divine examinations in the lower realm. Boom! Purple-red lightning with a diameter of several hundred meters fell from the sky. The 4 divine kings each used their strongest strike to resist this thunder calamity. In the bedroom, the god of life, who had just given birth, sensed something unusual outside the house and wanted to get up. "Your Highness, Mother. Your Highness has instructed you to take a good rest now, and besides, the young master needs you to protect him on the side. It's better not to move." The maid standing respectfully on the side nervously dissuaded. "Nod and sit up." The god of life lowered his head and looked at the infant in swaddling clothes, with a touch of love on his tired face. "Hold the baby in swaddling clothes in your arms, lift your fair and smooth palm and gently pat it on the cloth. Baby, it will be okay soon. Dad will definitely succeed." Boom! One blow dissipates. The 4 members of the god of destruction stood unscathed in the air. But the thunderclouds above still cannot disperse. Rolling thunder tribulations are even more solid and terrifying. Damn it! The thunder calamity is still continuing. The power gathered this time far exceeds that of the first thunder calamity. The evil god showed a rare look of shock. Taking a deep breath, the face of the god of destruction standing at the forefront of the team became much calmer. "Ladies and gentlemen, if this old man unfortunately falls, please take care of my wife and children for me in years of love." Speaking. The god of destruction unleashes the destructive power condensed within this life with all his might. In an instant, dark purple energies oscillated one after another. Under thunderclouds for tens of thousands of kilometers. Fury. The destructive power of palpitations ravages under the thunder calamity. Looking at the god of destruction who was planning to die together, the kind-hearted god beside him sternly rebuked. "No way. If the divine realm loses a divine king as a result, it will be fatal for the divine realm. Never self-destruct the divine throne. Walk in the air." Shura's divine hand held a blood-red long sword and walked to the side of the god of destruction to persuade. "Don't show off your abilities, young man. This thunder calamity cannot be stopped by sacrificing one person. Besides, you don't want your child to have no father since childhood, do you?" Upon hearing the persuasion of the god of Shura, a hint of reluctance flashed in the eyes of the god of destruction. The destructive power around also weakened a bit. Boom! The last thunderbolt condensed in the sky has finally fallen. Target the mansion. Boom! The 4 great divine kings have no reservations, fully unleashing their divine power. The purple-red thunder dragon with a fierce face collided with the colorful divine formation formed by 4 people. Puff! The god of destruction standing at the front of the queue, frowning tightly. A mouthful of blood spurted out from the mouth. It can be imagined how powerful this thunder raid is. Clearly, he ran towards killing his child. If it weren't for the system reincarnating him into the belly of the god of life, he would probably have died prematurely. After all, such a powerful thunder calamity cannot be resisted by ordinary gods. Boom! The powerful impact force generates waves that quickly spread to various parts of the universe. The lower planets were all slightly shaken by this powerful aftershock. Sigh. Thunderbolt lasted for several seconds, but still couldn't break through the divine formation formed by the 4 members of the god of destruction. A sigh that seemed to have come from ancient times resounded in the vast universe. As the sound fell, the thunder disaster that had gathered over the mansion slowly dissipated. Puff! My clothes were torn apart by lightning. It's hard to imagine that a divine equipment with extremely high defense capabilities almost got destroyed by lightning robbery. The dark clouds have dispersed. And the bright sunshine is shining again over the divine realm. Raising their heads to bathe in the warm sunshine, the 4 gods of destruction were reborn, with smiles on their faces once again. Finally. It's over. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. 6-Year-Old Little God King. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. 6-Year-Old Little God King. The tired-looking god of Shura walked aimlessly to the side of the god of destruction. Raise your hand and pat him on the shoulder, smiling. Go and see the child, he is the life born to the first divine king in our divine realm, and I am also quite curious. Trembling, he stood up and raised his hand to wipe away the blood from his lips. The god of destruction smiled but remained silent, looking down at the mansion beneath his feet. After a moment, 4 divine kings from the divine realm arrived in the room. Looking at the small and adorable baby lying in the cradle, the 4 divine kings were instantly captured in their hearts. Wow! What a cute little guy! His flesh is chubby and a bit soft. The kind god joyfully extended his index finger and gently poked the baby's cheek. Sitting on the right side of the cradle, with one hand supporting his chin, the god of life, whose smile had never stopped from the beginning, looked at the god of kindness and smiled. As the godmother of the little one, this child can also be considered half of your child. Do you want to try holding it up? Is it really possible? The kind-hearted god looked at the god of life with an expectant expression. The latter smiled and nodded. With approval, the kind-hearted god cautiously extended his hands and held the baby in the cradle in his arms. Looking at the baby sleeping soundly with closed eyes and half-open mouth, the kind-hearted god suddenly transformed into a woman full of maternal love, happily teasing the porcelain doll in her arms. Xiaozi, have you come up with a name for this child? Which one should you choose? The god of life looked at him with a happy expression on his face. Seeing the peaceful and warm scene of mother and son, the god of destruction smiled at the gaze of the god of life. How about calling it Zijun? Upon hearing the name given by the god of destruction, the god of Shura rarely agrees with the Tao. I didn't expect you, an impulsive and irritable old man, to have such an elegant time and choose a good name. Upon hearing the 3 words, Old Pifu, the god of destruction squinted his eyes and glanced at the Shura god. The blood vessels bulging at the corner of his eyes are enough to indicate his current mood. A humble gentleman is as gentle as jade, indeed a good name. Shura reminds you well that you should change your temper, after all, you are all fathers. The evil god on the side nodded and commented, but still couldn't hide a look of envy on his face. Holding Zijun for a moment of teasing, the kind-hearted god reluctantly put him back in the cradle. Ding! Fusion successful. Congratulations to the host on becoming a level 3 deity. Ding! Million-year body martial soul fusion successful. Million-year soul bone fusion successful. Million-year soul ring fusion successful. As the system beeps down, white and golden soul rings and golden divine rings appeared out of thin air behind Purple Lord. 22 platinum soul rings. A golden divine ring. Besides that, 2 phantom figures, 1 golden and 1 purple, appeared in the palms of Purple Lord's 2 little flesh figures. Twin body martial soul. Lie down. The 3 male divine kings present spoke in unison. A born god. Little green, what kind of monster did we have here? The god of destruction widened his eyes in shock and froze in place. Everything in front of me seems so unreal. Pop. The god of life looked slightly angry, stood up and grabbed the ear of the god of destruction, gritting his teeth and saying, "This is our child. How could you say that? What is a monster? No one thinks you're mute because you can't speak." The god of destruction, whose ears were grabbed, was extremely busy begging for mercy and awkwardly smiled. In all these years, it was the first time he had seen the god of life angry. Hiss. I was wrong. It's all due to this little guy's abnormal talent. I can't help but. Hiss. Around the cradle, 5 handsome and beautiful faces stared in surprise at Zijun inside. This is the first time that the 5 of them have met a natural god, and this talent can no longer be described as genius. This is simply a pervert among perverts. Undoubtedly, I am the child of an old man. I have had such an incredible cultivation since birth. If I had grown up, I would have had it. Hahaha. Looking at the little one in the cradle with a heart full of satisfaction. A sense of pride that has never been felt before emerged in the heart of the god of destruction. TSK, no wonder the cosmic will doesn't want him to survive in the world. This talent is indeed too incredible. The evil god squatting on the left side of the good god praised Purple Lord with envy on his face. Oh my goodness. Why is this child not me and kind? How unfair you are. Woo woo. I also want something cute. Child. After praising Zijun, the evil god roast in his heart. So, after chatting for a while, the 5 of them each dispersed. 6 days passed in a blink of an eye. Zijun grew up under the indulgence and careful care of the gods of life and destruction. Since Zijun can walk, that's called a skin. To verify whether the god of anger is truly irritable. Surprisingly, he stole his underwear while the god of anger was not at home. If it were just one, it would be fine, but this kid actually stole all his underwear. The result can be imagined. If it weren't for the god of destruction, lick an old face to stop that day. This unlucky thing will definitely be beaten up by the god of anger fat. Besides, what about stealing dragon eggs or digging bird eggs? Flying in the sky, running on the ground, swimming in the water, all give him a chance. It's okay to play tricks on others, this guy doesn't even let his own father go. Hiding the mask of the god of destruction secretly. It's a good name to say that you haven't done anything bad, there's nothing shameful about it. Finally, the god of destruction pressed him on the bench and pulled out a belt to give him a complete childhood. Unfortunately, before he could even take action, he was stopped by the god of life. In the end, this farce gradually calmed down after being locked up for several hours. What the god of destruction and others do not know. Zijun's actions are all due to the system's task rewards. In addition to advanced soul rings, there are also super artifacts, cultivation, and so on inside. However, even if the task rewards are substantial, he never dared to take on one of the tasks. That's playing tricks on the god of Shura. But with his courage, how dare he take on such a lifeless task? The god of Shura said he would beat people, that's true beating. The face of the god of destruction doesn't even bring it. However, the biggest reason for this is mainly because the god of Shura has always been in the history of the divine realm. The god king with the highest power value besides the creator god. Zijun, who is familiar with the plot of the original work, naturally dare not offend this master. Think about it. The current god of Shura, with only the strength of its peak period, is already invincible in the divine realm. How dare he offend such a great deity? Who knows if he has any secret techniques to restore his former peak cultivation? If there really is, then it's really that the longevity star eats arsenic and thinks his life is long. Under the giant tree of life. A white-haired child dressed in white jade clothes lay leisurely on a bench. Holding a bunch of grapes in his hand, he was eating and shaking his calves, really happy. Young master, this is already your second time being imprisoned. Can you calm down for a period of time? The arrogant god sitting behind the bench, holding a peach, ate it while gently roast. Upon hearing the words of the god of pride, Zijun let out a bitter smile and whispered in his heart. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Best Worker. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Best Worker. Are you a young master who doesn't want to calm down? Everything is for system rewards. Alas, who can understand my father's difficulties? Puff. Spit out the grape seeds in his mouth, and put the remaining half of the string back into the fruit tray. Some things are not as simple as they seem on the surface. After all, I am the young master, and you naturally won't know the reason behind it. Looking at Zijun, who was not yet as tall as his legs, the arrogant god tilted his head and rolled his eyes. Hee. Sigh. They are both gods. Why was the young master born at the finish line? Oh my goodness, how unfair you are. The god of pride envies in his heart. Not to mention the god of pride, I am a bit envious. That's the child of the god king. Still the child of the god of destruction. Let's compare Tang San who just crossed over next door. TSK. I really live up to the old saying, people are more angry than people and goods are better than goods. The current Purple Lord has been under the high demands of the god of destruction and the god of Shura in recent years. Promoted from a third-level god to a second-level god. Task release. After successfully establishing a relationship with Qian Jianxue, activate your faction points. Influence points. What is that thing? As the name suggests. Faction points can not only be obtained by increasing influence, but also by purchasing system mall items. Good system. I did not see you wrong. As a child, I'll just look at you and you'll be pleasing. Exiting the system space, Zijun stretched lazily and stood up. Speaking of which. I stayed in the divine realm for 6 days, and it has been 6 years since the lower realm. It's time to go out and explore. Upon hearing Zijun's words, the arrogant god beside him held his hands and couldn't understand. Why does the young master want to go to the lower world to play like this? They are all a group of indigenous people, what's so fun? After speaking, the god of pride picked up the cut watermelons from the fruit platter and ate them happily. With a disdainful glance at the god of pride, Zijun picked up his small hand and replied with a grown-up appearance. Cut. What do you know? I have a soul that yearns for freedom. Who loves to treat who in this damn place? After speaking, Zijun opened the spatial channel and stepped inside. In the central conference room of the Divine Realm, the 5 Divine Kings are discussing how to cultivate the Purple Lord. Although this kid is a bit mischievous, there's really nothing to say about his talent. At the age of 6, he advanced to the 2nd level of gods. At the same time, it is also born with its own divine position. This dreamy start, if not witnessed with their own eyes, the 5 of them would have thought it was a dream. Speaking of which, isn't this exactly the best worker that the 5 of them have been dreaming of? Just cultivate him into the strongest divine king in the divine realm. Can the 5 of them live a happy retirement life when they are down? Thanks to the arrival of Zijun, the top 5 divine kings in the divine realm have achieved their unified goal for the first time in hundreds of thousands of years. As for Xiao Jun, he was born with a divine position. In theory, could he also inherit another one? The god of Shura sitting on the left side of the conference table frowned and pondered. 10 fingers crossed to support his chin, and the god of destruction pondered for a moment, nodding and guessing. It should be possible, but without your share, he will be the legitimate heir to the old man's throne in the future. Upon hearing this, the gods of evil, Shura, and goodness suddenly became unwilling. What does it mean without our share? Just because he's your son? Are you his father? Do you want to retire and we don't want to? Damn it. Don't think I don't know what your old man's plan is. Eliminate group connections in this matter. Raise your hand if you agree. As soon as the voice of the evil god's rebuttal came to an end, the Shura god and the good god immediately raised their hands to express their support. The blood vessels in the corner of his eyes burst out, and the god of destruction suppressed his urge to curse at the 3 of them. Yes. I agree. I agree too. With both hands in his arms, the evil god was somewhat proud and looked at the god of destruction with a smile. 3-2. The resolution is valid. Although Zilv did not express it, her vote counts as yours. Hahaha. Raise your hand and support your forehead. Shaking his head in tears and laughter, the god of life sat next to the god of destruction and said, "Instead of letting us make our own decisions, it's better for Xiao Jun to choose for himself. He will eventually inherit one of these 5 deities." The mythological sound of life has not yet fallen, and a spatial passage appears out of thin air in the conference room. I saw a little one walking towards me with his hands on his back and a small adult posture. Seeing the sudden appearance of Zijun, the god of life stood up and ran away immediately. Squatting down, she hugged him into her arms and kept ravaging his little face with her hands. "Has the baby missed his mother? Have you been naughty today, Zijun stood in the same place with an unattainable expression on his face, letting the god of life rub his face. "There's no way. This is my mother." He dare not resist, after all, this is his only protective umbrella at home. Rubbing Zijun's soft face until he spoke, the god of life finally let him go. "Mother, I am not a child. I am now 6 years old. I am still a second-level deity. Now I can be considered an adult." Looking at the god of life who was finally willing to stop, Zijun pleaded with a resentful expression in his eyes. Looking at the adorable purple lord standing in front of him, the god of life covered his mouth and smiled. "Only 6 years old is an adult. Mom and dad are even tens of thousands of years older than you. You can only be a little baby forever." Leaving aside his mouth, Zijun murmured softly, "Mother, I'm here to bid farewell to you. I'm going on a trip to the lower world." After speaking, Zijun led the hand of the god of life to the conference table. Release her hand and look at the chair that was half a body taller than herself. Zijun jumped up and sat down. Seeing his own child, the god of destruction sternly refused. "You are still too young, and the outside world is more dangerous than you imagine. I don't agree with you traveling to the lower world." Upon hearing the refusal of the god of destruction, Zijun snorted and instinctively pouted, sitting in a chair with both hands clasped in his arms, feeling dejected. "What else can be dangerous in this world? I'm already a second-level deity. I'm tired of staying in the divine realm, I want to travel to the lower realm." A flash of love flashed in my eyes, and in an instant, it disappeared again. The god of Shura stood up and walked to Zijun with his hands on his back. "Turn your head to look at the colorful scenery outside the conference room window. Don't you really think that becoming a god is the end of the path of martial arts? Isn't it? Isn't it?" Zijun looked back at the god of Shura and asked. The corners of his mouth curled up, and the god of Shura turned around to look at him again, patiently explaining. "Then you're wrong. The world you know is just a corner of this whole world, with many stronger characters than us." After speaking, pause for a moment. The god of Shura continued. "Child. With your talent, you shouldn't aim for us, but towards higher mountains. That's where you should pursue your dreams." After listening to the words of the Shura god, Zijun couldn't help but fall into contemplation. Is the Douluo continent that I have traveled through different from the one in the original work? If not, why would the god of Shura, who is the strongest god king, say so? It seems I still think about this world too simply. Returning to his senses, Zijun looked up at the Shura god with a hopeful expression on his face. "Shura Godfather. I want to practice with you. I want to protect everyone. And the divine realm. Speaking so, in fact, it is to save one's own dog life. Who knows how many people in the future god of destruction can cover themselves? If he provokes a strong enemy, there will definitely be a grave for him in the divine realm." Smiling and nodding in agreement, the Shura god continued with satisfaction. "Starting from tomorrow, we will practice in our old place." End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Inheriting the Throne of Shura. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Inheriting the Throne of Shura. The next morning. Colorful auspicious clouds slowly drift in the air, and the first ray of sunshine in the morning is always filled with infinite hope. The warm and comfortable sunshine shines on the land of the divine realm. On the green grass, two figures, one big and one small, sat leisurely chatting on the ground. Very good. With just 1 hour of cultivation, the divine power in the body has increased significantly. I raised my hand and rubbed the agile and handsome little one beside me. These two people are the Shura god and Purple Lord of Jianxue. Looking down at her hands, Zijun asked in her heart. System, can I inherit other deities besides my own one? Sure. As the host of this system, your future goal is the vast sea of stars. Even inheriting more than a dozen deities is not a problem. Lying trough. Do I really have such a great reputation? How come I can't feel it? There is a ready-made deity right in front of us. The host may want to give it a try. After listening to the system's explanation, Zijun turned his head to look at the Shura god. After hesitating for a while, he asked softly. Shura godfather, can I inherit your throne? The Shura god was stunned by the sudden surprise of Zijun. Come to my senses and endure the excitement in my heart. Clench your fist and approach your mouth, pretending to be serious. You're still too young now, want to. Before the Shura mythology could be finished, Zijun interrupted. Never mind if it's not possible. Since Father Shura cannot inherit it, I can only inherit my landlord father's throne first. During the conversation, Zijun stood up and was about to leave. Pop. A big hand grabbed his wrist, and the Shura god anxiously persuaded him. Don't do it. As the old saying goes, one day as a teacher, one lifetime as a father. As a disciple, how can we not inherit the skills of our master? Come on, come on. I'll pass it on to you now. He pressed Zijun to the ground and sat cross-legged, his arms trembling slightly with excitement. Afraid that Zijun would turn back. Hahaha. The first genius in the divine realm is finally going to become my inheritor. Oh my. Finally, it's the end of the ordeal. Put away your mind. The expression of the Shura god suddenly became serious. I'll do it later, you follow me. Remember not to be distracted. With his head tilted in confusion, Zijun stared at the god of Shura and asked. Isn't inheriting the throne like taking the 9 exams for becoming a god? Are you sure you can succeed like this, godfather? 9 tests of becoming a god. What is that thing? Oh. I remember, it turned out to be the testing ground for selecting the best inheritor in the lower world. Recalling the inheritance site that was once established, Shura god awkwardly smiled and patiently explained. That was set up for selecting inheritors with extraordinary talents. Your talent is not only unparalleled in ancient times, but it is also rare in the world. It's not time to delay becoming a teacher, so it's up to you. Flip your palms up and down. Activate all the Shura divine power within the body. Boom. Blood red is full of violence. The cold Shura divine power transformed into a red pillar of light and rose from the ground. Hold your heart. The position of Shura not only kills the strong, but also disrupts the mind. But as long as you persevere, the mind demon will also dissipate from here. Only then can you truly inherit the position of Shura. Are you ready? Zijun nodded seriously, took a deep breath, and followed the theology of Shura. Watching Purple Lord gradually enter a state, the god of Shura no longer hesitated and extended his index finger to point on Purple Lord's forehead. Suddenly, blood-red Shura divine powers surged into Zijun's body like waves. The god of destruction mansion. The god of destruction and the god of life sitting at the dining table enjoying breakfast. Seems to sense something. At the same time, frown. Damn Shura god. I will never give up with you. Speaking, the god of destruction angrily left the mansion with the god of life. In the blink of an eye, the two of them arrived at the place where the god of Shura and the Purple Lord were practicing. Looking at Zijun, who is carrying out the inheritance of the Shura deity at his feet. The god of destruction was about to stop him, but he was stopped by the nearby god of life. No way. The baby has already started to inherit the divine position. If you stop it rashly, it will harm him. Wait until the inheritance is over before seeking the theory of the Shura god. The god of life stared below with a worried expression, accepting the inheritance of the divine position as Purple Lord. Angry and clenching both fists. The god of destruction gritted his teeth and stared intently at the god of Shura. He looks as if he wants to rush down and kill him. After all, Zijun's bloodline, divine power, and physique. It can be said that he is the best inheritor of the deity of destruction and the deity of life in this world. And with proper cultivation, there is a chance to become the character in the legend of the divine realm. An unparalleled figure in the world. Thinking that my child cannot inherit the throne of myself and little green. The god of destruction clenched his fist a bit harder. Hold on. Hold on to your true heart. Don't be tempted by demons. The god of Shura reminded with a nervous expression. Inheriting the throne of Shura at the age of 5, for a child who has not been polished by the secular world. It's really too far-fetched. After all, a child's nature is too simple, and if it provokes a demon in their heart, the chance that he can resist the temptation is basically not high. Upon realizing this, the god of Shura regretted and was eager to pass on his divine position to the Purple Lord. There is no turning back arrow when bowing. If we forcibly interrupt the inheritance at this time, it will be more harmful than beneficial for Zijun. But what the Shura god didn't know was that the soul inside Zijun was a foolish college student in his early 20s. You can still distinguish between good and bad. Speaking of which, with a system around him, it's difficult for him to get into trouble. The inheritance lasted for half an hour, and a mysterious red flame inscription gradually appeared on Zijun's forehead. Boom. Boom boom boom. A cold and bloody killing aura rippled around Purple Lord. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Shura realm. Congratulations to the host for inheriting the first-level god Shura throne. Suddenly open your eyes. The blood-colored pupils capture the soul. The originally cute and handsome face has added a touch of coldness. Like a creator who disregards all living beings. Retract your palm. The god of Shura only feels the wonderful pleasure of lifting his shackles all over his body. As the system prompts the sound, the Shura divine power in Zijun's body gradually calms down. The violent and cold breath receded like a tide. Change back to the once intimate and peaceful atmosphere. This aura comes from the bloodline of the god of life. If it weren't for her, Zijun would not have such a special aura. Congratulations, stinky kid, becoming the second god of the Shura in the divine realm. How do you feel? The god of Shura crouched half down, grabbing Zijun's thin arm with both hands and caring. Glancing roughly up and down, Zijun's face showed a smile. I'm fine, hee. Raising his hand and patting Zijun's thin shoulder, the Shura god stood up and nodded to breathe a sigh of relief. It's okay. Okay. Okay, you white-haired old dog. I've been holding you for a long time. Take your life. The mythological sound of Shura has not yet fallen, and a roar resounds throughout the entire divine realm. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. I can bear more. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. I can bear more. Half empty. The god of destruction holds the scepter of destruction alone. Quickly attack the position of the Shura god. Sleeping trough. You old man. Xiao Mao has no grievances or grudges with you. What's the point of this? Over the divine realm. The god of Shura and the god of destruction are chasing after each other, one in front and one behind. Old man, don't force me. Even if a dog is in a hurry, it will jump over a wall. If you don't stop, don't blame me for being ruthless. While evading the attack of the god of destruction, the god of Shura advised. Humph. Come on. Turn your face on me and see. Without the Shura throne, I will be afraid of you. Damn old dog, take your life. Looking up at the two divine kings chasing and playing in the sky, Zijun suddenly felt tired. Little green girl, what are these two of them doing? Why are they acting like enemies? The late arrival of the evil and good gods fell beside the god of life, puzzled and puzzled. With a cold snort, the god of life rarely complains. This Shura god secretly inherits the throne to Xiao Jun behind our backs. Do you think he should be beaten? After listening to the story of the god of life, the evil god immediately set out to join in. Instantly, he came to the side of the god of destruction and followed the pursuit of the god of Shura. You're so damn old, Six. With such a good thing, you don't even think of me. Look at the trick. So. It was originally a tug of war between the two, but in an instant it turned into a life and death defense battle. The god of Shura, whose divine power has not yet been restored due to the inheritance of his divine position. At this moment, I can only act like a hamster, allowing the two old cats behind me to chase and fight. Raising his hand to cover his face, Zijun sighed and shouted loudly in the direction of the three of them. Stop fussing, actually I can inherit more than one deity. Upon hearing what Zijun said, the 5 divine kings present were all stunned in place. Eyes full of shock. After counting the breath. 5 big heads surround Purple Lord in groups. That gaze was like looking at a monkey. If it weren't for the handsome and beautiful faces in front of me. Which 6-year-old child can handle it? Father. Father, what kind of gaze are you looking at? I am your own. Blood is thicker than water. Facing the surprised and skeptical gaze of the god of destruction, Zijun, who was a little older, sat on the grass with fear in his heart. I know you are my own, and I can sense the destructive power within you. Halfway through, the god of destruction paused, his right hand touching his chin and pondering for a moment before continuing. Child, to be honest with Dad, can you still inherit other deities? Nodding in a daze, Zijun nodded and shook his head after a moment. The reason for this is all because they were scared by the god of destruction. The 5 of them looked like they were lying on the operating table, surrounded by a group of doctors and nurses, and their visual perception was not much different. Even if you're not sick, it can scare you into getting sick. The blood vessels in the corners of the eyes protruded, and the corners of the mouth twitched. The god of destruction suppressed his anger and whispered softly. Do I see you nodding or shaking your head? If I don't give you a reason, Father will have to give you a complete childhood. Pop. Seeing the benevolent expression on the face of the god of destruction, Zijun suddenly felt a chill in his back. Hand and foot, run to the calf of the god of life and tightly embrace it. Mom. Your husband is going to hit me. You have to take care of him. I'm your little treasure. Zijun was extremely shameless and cute. But don't say it yet. The god of life only eats this trick from him. Who calls this unlucky thing a piece of meat that fell off his body? How could he not hurt or spoil him? Squatting down, he pinched Zijun's lovely face. The god of life smiled and agreed. As long as the baby honestly confesses, being a mother will never let your father touch your finger. How about that? With the promise of the god of life, Zijun finally released her calf. Feeling my chin in contemplation, but actually asking the system in my heart. System. Can I really inherit other deities? Is it really as impressive as you said? Of course. This system has always been fair and honest. How could it harm the host? Okay. I believe you once. Putting down his arms, Zijun looked up at the god of destruction and nodded. Yes. After inheriting the throne of Shura, I clearly feel that my divine power is not fully filled. There is even a feeling of not having enough to eat. Upon receiving a positive answer from Zijun, the 5 divine kings exchanged a glance. Show a look of shock. Can you not be shocked? You said they have heard of one person with 2 deities. But this person can inherit 3 or even more deities at the same time. Even if I search through the entire lower world. Even the history of the divine realm. None of them have ever heard of it. Take a deep breath and the evil god will awaken to great enlightenment. No wonder it causes such a terrifying thunderstorm at birth. If this talent grows, the will of the universe will also have no choice, right? Upon hearing the explanation of the evil god, the other 4 divine kings nodded in agreement. As for why we didn't associate other results, it's because of the system. Even if Zijun says it himself, they don't carry any faith. If that thing really exists, why would it last for tens of thousands of years? Over 100,000 years. Has it not even appeared for millions of years? The probability of winning a lottery ticket is almost 1 in 10 million. How dare you believe it? That's not a big deal. Upon hearing that Zijun could still inherit the throne, the god of Shura suddenly became excited. Hahaha. I can finally live a retirement life with peace of mind. Starry Sea. I'm here. During speech. The god of Shura turned around and flew towards the distance, with a speed that was fast. Pop. The evil god embraced the purple lord in his arms. Sticking to Zijun's face, he was extremely excited. That face, as if afraid that Zijun might be taken away. Xiaojun. Godfather loves you the most. How about making Godfather your second deity? The purple lord, who was held in the arms of the evil god and pasted, pushed and shoved the evil god's head with a disdainful expression on his face. But even though he tried hard, he still couldn't push a single penny. The evil god in front of us is the first generation of evil gods. Even the Shura god dare not exist recklessly with all his strength. After all, he can be considered as the oldest god king in the divine realm, along with the kind-hearted deity. Having lived countless epochs, how weak can one's cultivation become? Let go. That's my son. We're going to have one for ourselves. If Xiaojun wants to inherit, it's also me and Xiaolu's. You line up behind us. Seeing the foolish face of the evil god, the god of destruction stepped forward and snatched the path. In the blink of an eye, Zijun became that sweet cake again. The god of destruction and the god of evil snatched back and forth. All right. Stop it all for me. Xiaojun, you too have thin arms and legs. If you tear them apart, you too can wait to sweep the door out. Right, Xiaolu. The kind-hearted god finished drinking and scolding the 2 of them, then turned around and hugged the arm of the god of life, smiling and asking. The god of kindness is right. Let me put you down. Since you can still inherit the throne, why rush for a moment? Upon hearing the words of the second daughter, the 2 of the god of destruction finally let go of the purple lord, who had been shaken and looked at Venus. The god of life picked up Zijun and walked towards the direction of the central conference room with his feet raised. If there's anything to say, let's talk about it in the conference room. It's up to the baby to decide who will inherit the throne first. On the green grass, 5 people left the training ground chatting and laughing. Fortunately, the god of Shura slipped away quickly, otherwise he would definitely become the target of the 2 gods of destruction cursing. In the central conference room, the god of Shura, who had left early, was eventually called to the conference room. What? I don't agree. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The God of Angels. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The God of Angels. In the conference room, I once again heard Zijun propose to leave the divine realm and travel to the lower realm. The god of destruction immediately refused. Looking at the face of his landlord father, Zijun's face turned red and swollen with anger. I am now a second-level deity praying and have also inherited the first-level deity position. Is this strength not enough to travel abroad? Upon hearing the rejection of the god of destruction, Zijun argued with reason. Cross hand supporting chin, god of destruction reminds. The matter of traveling has nothing to do with cultivation. You are only 6 years old now, and you are still unaware of the dangers in your heart. If you attract someone with a heart to bewitch you, it will not only be a disaster in the lower realm, but also a loss in the divine realm. After listening to the explanation of the god of destruction, Zijun looked somewhat helpless and sat back in his chair to reflect. Yeah. In the eyes of the god of destruction, he is a 6-year-old child. How can thoughts and actions be as mature as adults? If someone is abducted and played with, it is definitely a one-size-fits-all. What the god of destruction doesn't know is that the soul inside Purple Lord is an adult. But the concern of the god of destruction is also reasonable. Speaking of which, if something happens to you, how sad would your mother be? If it causes Xiaolu to be heartbroken, I would rather not let you step out of the divine realm for a lifetime. Even if you hate me for a lifetime. Reaching out to grasp the wrist of the god of destruction, the eyes of the god of life were filled with love. As the saying goes, if my husband is like this, what can a woman ask for? After a moment of contemplation, Zijun's eyes swayed left and right, and he replied with a smile. Since that's the case, how about sending a subordinate to follow me, father? I promise you that you only need to let me go on a 30-year journey, and when I come back, I will inherit all the divine throne. Take charge of the divine realm. Upon hearing this, the god of destruction did not refute, but pondered seriously. Xiaojuan's method is good. Send someone to follow the lower world. Firstly, you can report the situation at any time, and secondly, you can protect him. 30 years is just a blink of an eye for us. Looking at the father and son who were deadlocked, the evil god sitting at the top opened his way. Release the crossed fingers, and the corner of the god of destruction's mouth curls up, with a hint of appreciation flashing in his eyes. Since that's the case, I reluctantly agree to let you travel down the world and let the god of pride accompany you. Seeing the god of destruction nod in agreement, Zijun jumped up from his chair excitedly. Half an hour later, the Zijun family of 3 arrived at the residence of the first angel god. The plot requires it. Seeing the newcomer, the first-generation angel god looked shocked. These two in front of me are the supreme divine kings of the divine realm. The god of destruction and the god of life. Wearing a golden long skirt, with a pair of 6-winged golden wings on the back. She also has long golden hair and wears a half-golden silk mask on her face, making it difficult to see her exact appearance. I wonder why the two supreme gods are here. Pushing the Purple Lord at his feet, the god of destruction responded expressionlessly. By chance, my son wants to marry a descendant of the angel family. Heard about marriage? The angel god was stunned for a moment, then lowered his head to look at the porcelain doll that was not as tall as her long legs and smiled back. I am extremely honored. I wonder who the young master is interested in my angelic lineage. The angel god asked in a gentle tone. Looking up at the angel god in front of him, Zijun's eyes lit up with excitement and said. Qianren Snow. Do you have a girl with this name in your angel clan? Upon hearing the 3 words, Renxue, the angel god pondered for a moment and shook his head in uncertainty. I haven't paid attention to the matter of the lower world for a long time, but the angel clan does still exist in the world. Let me feel it in a moment. Closing his eyes, the angel god emitted a burst of golden light all over his body. Douluo continent. Inside the angel temple of the martial soul hall. The angel statue standing in the center of the martial soul hall sparkles with a golden light. A blurry female figure appeared in the temple of angel god Jiokao. In the blink of an eye, the angel god flew out from within the statue. Inside the main hall of the Martial Soul Hall, a beautifully dressed woman with a crown on her head closed her eyes and leaned against the throne. "Are you the spokesperson for the Angel clan today?" Suddenly opening his eyes, his eyebrows furrowed slightly. The beautiful woman sat up straight and glanced around. I found that there was no one around, but just now a majestic and ethereal voice rang out in the main hall. "Don't look for mortals, this seat is here." Looking up at the sound, I saw a golden six-winged angel with a female figure standing in mid-air, looking down at her. Heaven. The god of angels. The beautiful woman looked at the scene in front of her with a surprised expression. As the contemporary ruler of the Martial Soul Hall, she is well aware of its history. Throughout history, the family that governs the Martial Soul Hall has always been a member of the Angel clan. Unfortunately, after the disappearance of the evil Soul Master in the ancient times of Douluo continent, the strength of the Angel clan is gradually weakening, but even so, the Martial Soul Hall created by the Angel clan is still one of the most powerful forces in the mainland. After all, the Martial Soul Hall is the power with the most titles of Douluo in the whole continent. In the original work, if it weren't for Tang San's protagonist Halo. In addition, there is internal division within the Martial Soul Hall. Tang San's abilities are simply not enough to defeat the Martial Soul Hall. To make a long story short, I am here to announce a divine edict to you and others. With his hands on his back, a hint of excitement flashed through his golden pupils. The descendant of the angel lineage named Qian Jianxue, as long as she marries a man named Zijun. As a reward, Qian Jianxue will become the only heir to the angel throne. What? What? Angel's throne. A brilliant light flashed in the eyes of the beautiful woman. The joy in my heart is beyond words. Subsequently, the angel god revealed some basic information about Zijun. This includes the origins of the gods of destruction and life. After all, we will all be a family in the future, so it's not inappropriate to inform us in advance. At the same time, it can also prevent people from the lower realm angel clan from offending Purple Lord. After all, that gentleman is like an emperor in the divine realm. The children of two supreme divine kings. If she were easily offended, her angelic lineage would have come to an end now. After a brief explanation, the projection of the angel god disappeared into the main hall. Looking down at the angel sword in her hand, the beautiful woman stood still. Trapped in the conversation just now, unable to calm down for a long time. Divine realm. The dwelling of the angel god. I congratulate you in advance, young master. You have a good marriage. There is indeed a descendant in our clan named Qian Jianxue. Upon hearing the true presence of Qian Renxue, Zijun was extremely excited. After all, Qian Renxue is his favorite character. Even if you look beautiful, your talent is still decent. If it weren't for being neglected by Bibidong from a young age and being used as a chess piece, it would have caused her to lack maternal love. Even when I grow up, I won't become so cold. A personality that is inconsistent on the surface and on the inside. After all, the statement that human nature is inherently good is not a lie. As the saying goes, there is no evil in the world, and some are simply driven out of this hell on earth. Speaking again. Faced with such a nearly perfect romantic partner, Tang actually went to play with rabbits. It's simply a waste. Congratulations to the host for successfully establishing a relationship with Qian Renxue. The Power Value and System Mall have been opened, end of this chapter. Chapter 8. 1000 Renxue. Bibidong. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8000 Renxue. Bibidong. In the backyard of the Martial Soul Hall, in a magnificent and simple room. A blonde loli who looks around 6 years old. Sitting at the desk with a golden brush in hand, focused on writing the homework assigned by the mentor. The walls of the room are adorned with various medals of honor and portraits. Strangely, she was the only one in each portrait. In the portrait, even though she received many medals of honor, there was no smile on her face. Because she knew that even with so much honor, her mother would not praise her. As long as I study hard and cultivate hard, my mother will definitely be willing to talk to me. Cheer up, Qian Renxue. Cute blonde loli, fantasizing about beauty while carefully checking her homework. As if the text in the textbook is like a treasure. Click. A door opening sound sounded. Qian Jianxue, who was studying diligently at his desk, did not notice. Outside the room door. The beautiful woman who had previously sat in the hall came to the door. Looking at the blonde loli sitting at the desk studying hard. The beautiful woman's eyes, devoid of any emotion, showed a hint of pity at this moment. In an instant, it disappeared again. With a light sigh, the beautiful woman pushed open the door and walked in. Shura, my mother has something to say to you. Would it be convenient for you? The female voice that yearns for day and night spreads to the ears of thousands of snow. Qian Jianxue, who was doing the exercises, couldn't believe her ears. Sitting at the desk, she froze. First time. This is the first time in years that a beautiful woman has taken the initiative to talk to her. The tone is even more gentle than ever before, more like the voice of a mother calling out to her child. Stand up. Qian Jianxue nervously tidied up her dress. Standing beside the desk, tightly gripping her skirt with both hands, she nervously said. Mother. Your Excellency the Pope, did Shura do anything wrong again? Qian Jianxue asked cautiously. That's right. The beautiful woman outside the door is the contemporary Pope Bibidong. A powerful soul master with the power of the title Douluo. Also the biological mother of Qian Jianxue. Looking at Qian Jianxue, who is obedient, sensible, and cute in front of me. Bibidong walked over to the bedside and sat down. Raising her slender and fair palm, she gently patted the bed beside her. Come and sit down. My mother has something important to tell Shura. It's been difficult for you these years. Upon hearing Bibidong's words, Qian Jianxue walked to the bedside and sat down in a proper manner. The tight grip on the hem of the skirt intensified the tension even further. Your Excellency the Pope, Shura has always been striving to cultivate and learn, without indulging in playfulness. Qian Jianxue lowered her head and whispered in response, looking at the back of her hand. Looking at Qian Jianxue beside me, who looked a bit like herself. Bibidong raised his hand and gently placed it on top of her head. Stroking Qian Jianxue's long golden hair, he said happily. Today, my mother made a grand marriage to Shura. The boy's family was so powerful that even the angel god had to submit to him. Then Bibidong spoke the original words of the angel god. After listening to Zijun's background, Qian Renxue widened her round eyes and looked very curious. Who is the god of angels? Is she even more powerful than the Pope? Stand up. Bibidong walked to the window and looked up at the vast and boundless starry sky outside. Ah, even if my mother is the Pope of the martial Soul Hall and possesses the strength of a title Douluo, in her eyes, she is just a slightly stronger ant. Bibidong had a longing expression on his face, but a hint of disappointment appeared in his eyes. A wave of disappointment born into weakness. That boy named Zijun, his family is really more powerful than the angel god. After nodding her cute little head, Qian Jianxue transformed into 100,000 Ys and continued to ask. Turning around to look at Qian Jianxue sitting by the bed, a smile appeared on Bibidong's stunning face. I raised my hand and gently pinched Qian Jianxue's bowsy face, which had just taken on a beautiful embryo. Of course. Your future husband is the strongest man on the whole continent. His family is so powerful that even the angel god has to put away his wings. Release your hand. Bibidong bent down and carried Qian Jianxue into the blanket. Cover her blanket and kiss Qianren's snow-white and tender forehead with her head down. Get up and walk to the door of the house. Before leaving, leave a sentence and close the door of the snow-covered room. Don't call me Pope in the future, because I have always been your mother. Click. Looking at the closed door, Qian Jianxue's eyes suddenly became moist. The corners of my mouth curled up and I raised my hand to wipe my wet big eyes. Turning to the starry sky outside the window, murmuring to oneself. Thank you for letting mother stop hating Shura. As long as mother always likes Shura, even if you treat her badly in the future, Shura will not hate you. In the starry night sky, 2 meteors streaked past. It's like the scene of making a wish for success in a movie. Upon zooming in, the 2 meteors were rapidly crashing towards the center of a forest. Boom! In a deserted forest thousands of miles away. 2 deep pits with a diameter of several kilometers appear in the center of a lush forest. Hahaha. The young master has finally arrived at Douluo continent. An excited voice sounded in the smoke and dust, and after a moment, the smoke and dust dissipated. A child's figure caught the eye. That person is Zijun. Originally, due to the limitations of cosmic rules. After inheriting the throne, one cannot go down to the realm for a long time. Can this question be rare for Zijun, who has a system? Of course not. From the moment Zijun was born, he had already transcended the rules of the universe. Not affected by cosmic rules. And all of this credit comes from the reactivation of the system. Otherwise, the will of the universe would not have let Purple Lord go so easily. As for the god of pride, he is also invisibly under the influence of Zijun and is not bound by the rules of the universe. In order to explain this, Zijun specifically went to the system mall to buy 2 treasures, a thing called Hidden Waste Token. Not only can it evade cosmic rules, but it can also briefly hide in space. It can be said that it is an essential treasure for raiding homes and looting houses. As for the explanation, it's even simpler, just say it was found somewhere in the divine realm. However, for such low-level lies, the god of destruction naturally does not believe them. You can follow Purple Lord to hang up your waist tag and leave outside the divine realm when you return. That lie turned into truth. After all, this amazing treasure. It's impossible for a soul master or even a divine king to create it. That's it. In the envious gaze of the 5 gods of destruction, Purple Lord and Pride God left the divine realm. Taking a strong breath of fresh air, the arrogant god was overjoyed. Unexpectedly. One day, I won't be affected by the rules. It's so exciting. Haha. Cough. I took a big puff of smoke and choked my arrogant spirit to the point of coughing. Continuously patting my chest. Kicking the pride god's calf, Purple Lord reminded him. Without my orders, don't expose your cultivation casually. Also, don't tell my landlord's father everything. Do you hear me? After hearing Zijun's words, the god of pride coughed and nodded in agreement. With both hands behind his back, Zijun glanced around and walked towards the outskirts of the forest in a happy mood. As for why he doesn't need to fly, it's because he doesn't want to. In the future, your name will be Xiao Hui. If you don't keep up, I'll leave you here. Seeing Zijun walking away, the god of pride followed and shouted with some dissatisfaction. Young master. Can't we change our name? Xiao Hui's name is too tacky, isn't it? I'm a beautiful man. Hey. That's settled. Zijun smiled without looking back, carrying his hands behind his back. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. First Sight of Thousand Renxue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. First sight of Thousand Renxue the next morning. After leaving the forest, the 2 of them stayed overnight in a village and inquired about the location of the Martial Soul Hall. Then he set off and flew towards the direction of the Martial Soul Hall. The journey originally took several days, but the 2 of them arrived at the Martial Soul City in just a few minutes. Looking around at the architectural complex full of Western style. Wearing a white jade robe, Zijun walked into the city gate with his hands on his back and small ashes. 10 minutes later, the two of them arrived at the gate of the Martial Soul Hall. Just as I was about to enter, I was stopped by a nearby guard. The important area of the Martial Soul Hall is strictly prohibited from entering for unauthorized individuals. Taking a glance at the soldier with a serious expression, Zijun didn't embarrass him either. After all, as a guard, this is his job. If you think someone is bad just because they give a warning out of their job, that person must be sick. Who would argue with you so much, a normal person? My name is Zijun, could you please inform me? Upon hearing Zijun's name, the guard pondered for a moment. Suddenly, he bowed respectfully and said, "Please come inside, Your Excellency. The Pope has been waiting for you for a long time." Looking at the guard in surprise, Zijun smiled with his hands behind his back. "It's truly Bibidong. The efficiency of handling things is high, thank you for your hard work." With a polite word, Zijun and Xiaowei walked up to the door. Arriving at the entrance of the main hall, I was about to push open the door and enter. But two figures blocked the way. "Stop. This is the Martial Soul Hall. Why are you two here?" Looking at the figure blocking the way in front of him, Zijun smiled with both hands behind his back. "You are just the chrysanthemum pass and the ghost, your temperament is indeed coquettish." Upon hearing Zijun recognize them at a glance, their expressions remained calm and indifferent. For a moment, the two couldn't help but look up to him. After all, knowing the names of the two of them can still be so calm and composed. This little guy either has a strong family background or is very confident in the strength of the people around him. Thinking of this, Chrysanthemum Guan covered her mouth and smiled. Looking at a small gray with black and white long hair and bare shoulders on the side. "I don't know your surname, young master." "My name is Zijun." Zijun patiently responded. Upon hearing the word Zijun, Chrysanthemum Pass and the ghost exchanged a glance. His eyes were filled with a look of shock. After all, the origin of Zijun was ordered earlier than by Dong in the Martial Soul Hall. Nowadays, the name Zijun is well known to everyone in the high level of the Martial Soul Hall. Leaving aside a path, Chrysanthemum Douluo and his companions respectfully bent down to welcome them. Respectfully welcome the young master to the Martial Soul Hall. "The Pope is inside, please come in." Carefully pushing open the door of the main hall for Zijun, Zijun smiled and nodded. "This Martial Soul Hall. Isn't it as bad as I imagined?" Indeed, in the original work, it was all about forcefully surrendering intelligence that led to becoming a major villain. What Zijun doesn't know is that most of the people in the Martial Soul Hall are bullies and afraid of the hard. After all, this is human nature, and when encountering someone stronger than oneself, one will instinctively succumb. Only in novels can one dare to resist. Speaking of which, if the Martial Soul Hall had not been forcibly subdued, Tang San's grave would have grown grass long ago. Do you still want to become a god? Overthrow the Martial Soul Hall. Your Haudad can't even cover you up. Stepping into the spacious hall, only Bibidong sat on the throne. "I have seen your excellency the Pope." Approaching him, Zijun respectfully bowed. After all, this person in front of him is the mother of his future lover. On the surface of Qianren snow, the noodles that should be given should still be given. On the contrary, the little gray on the side still maintained a proud posture. It's impossible for him to bow to an ordinary person. After all, this guy is a master that no one looks up to except for the 5 supreme divine kings. Of course. And Zijun. Setting aside identity, one can inherit the position of Shura at the age of 6. This kind of abnormality is not something that this first-level god can only underestimate. Get up and quickly walk down the stage, bend down to help Purple Lord up. Bibidong smiling guest airway. Don't be so polite, we will both be a family in the future, just treat this as our own. Standing up straight, Zijun looked at Bibidong, who was much taller than him, and asked. Where's Shura? Where is she? I want to see her. As soon as Zijun finished speaking, Bibidong sent someone to bring Qian Jianxue. A moment later, a little loli wearing a golden princess dress with long golden hair and delicate features walked towards her. Mother, sir. A milky female voice sounded, and Zijun listened and looked. Pop 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 pop. At the moment of seeing Qianren Snow, Zijun seemed to be able to hear his own heartbeat. Amazing. A stunning sight before my eyes. What he never expected was that Renxue, who was a child, looked so charming. The immature Adam's apple rolls up and down. Zijun stared straight at Renxue and said tightly. Hello, my name is Zijun. Walking up to Renxue, Zijun extended his small hand and introduced himself. Looking at the newcomer, Renxue carefully looked at Zijun in front of her. A pair of pure and bright eyes, the spiritual light flowing in them, as bright as stars. On that face that was 7 parts similar to the god of destruction, there was an added charm of affinity with the god of life. Let that already handsome little face shine even brighter. Purple-white medium-length hair, with a dull hair curled up above the head. Handsome with a hint of cuteness. Renxue lowered her head with a rosy face. This is the first time someone warmly greeted her. Is he my future husband? At present, it seems to be pretty good. Renxue smiled shyly in her heart. Looking at the lovely lowly Qian Jianxue in front of her, Zijun gently grasped her small hand and said. Thank you for being my wife. I, Zijun, will cherish and care for you in this lifetime. While speaking, due to emotional excitement, Zijun inadvertently released a million-year soul ring. The platinum soul ring composed of complex inscriptions rises from the feet of the Purple Lord. A suffocating pressure permeated the hall. What? This could be an unprecedented soul ring configuration. Is this the child of God? Bibidong stared at Zijun in shock, with a few drops of cold sweat on his cheeks. Lift your head and look at Zijun, who is half a head higher than her in front of you. Renxue couldn't help but be confused for a moment. Is it this feeling of being cared for by others before? So warm. Thank you. Zijun, no. Shure's future husband. Come to my senses and put away the soul ring. Looking back at Bibidong, Zijun led Renxue's hand and walked towards the outside of the main hall. I'll take Shura out for a walk first. His name is Shall we, just arrange a residence for him, and we'll leave first. Before leaving, he briefly introduced himself to Xiao Hui and disappeared into the main hall with Renxue. Swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Bibidong looked both shocked and curious, and asked the arrogant little grey. Gu. Your Excellency, why have I never seen young master's soul ring before? With both hands clasped in her arms and a contemptuous expression, she glanced at Bibidong and responded succinctly in her words. Ordinary people are just ordinary people. I really don't see it. That's a million-year soul ring. Compared to this, you can find me a place to sleep first. How about that? After listening to Xiao Hui's answer, Bibidong's understanding of soul rings has been refreshed once again. The soul rings she can come into contact with are only at the level of over 100,000 years. Million-year soul rings only exist in legends. Now this is the first time she has seen a million-year soul ring. How could you not be surprised? In the garden, Zijun and Qian Jianxue sat on benches, chatting and answering questions. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Treasure Delivery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Treasure Delivery. Why did you choose me to be your wife? We probably haven't met before, haven't we? Renxue tilted her head and looked at Zijun in confusion. Lean back and lean against the back chair. The gentle breeze gently brushed their hair. The blue and white sky is as tranquil as the scene in the painting. Because I fell in love with you a long, long time ago. At that time, I could only look at you in another world, but you couldn't see me. Listening to Zijun's inexplicable explanation, Qian Renxue only felt that this answer was a bit out of line. She can't understand at her age. After pondering for a while, he suddenly realized and raised his hand, pointing to the sky with a smile. Is it the divine realm? My mother told me, you live in heaven. Turning his head to look at the innocent and lovely Qian Renxue, Zijun smiled indulgently. Almost, how about I take you to the divine realm to play when you grow up? Excitedly nodding, Qian Renxue gazed at Zijun with a longing expression on her face. That lovely and beautiful face instantly captured Zijun's heart. Raise your hand and gently stroke the golden hair on Qian Renxue's back. With me around, no one will ever neglect, use, or bully you again. I will definitely protect you. Seeing the sudden intimate gesture of Zijun, Qian Renshue's fair and tender face showed a blush of embarrassment. Nodding happily, Qian Renxue once again transformed into 100,000 Ys. What level of soul power are you at now? Are you even more powerful than Shura? A little more powerful, Zijun replied with a smile. A little bit of it. Shura has innate level 20 full soul power, and the elders who worship her say that Shura is a genius. Hee. That should be more powerful than me. It seems I need to work hard too. By the way, I'll give Shura some cultivation treasures. After speaking, Zijun withdrew his palm from Qian Renxue's hair. Take out a space ring from your arms and shake it hard towards the ground. Bang bang bang. A pile of soul bones that have been around for 100,000 or even a million years fall to the ground in a daze. In addition, there is also a pile of treasures exchanged from the system mall. The water of life, soul bones, and external soul bones. Flying in the sky and running on the ground, swimming in the sea, all soul beasts have their soul bones. Pick up a porcelain bottle on the ground that emits a green glow and introduce it. This is the water of life, which can not only treat injuries, but also has the effect of living dead flesh and bones. These are all given to Shura. Looking at the soul bones and other treasures piled up like a small mountain in front of me. Qian Renxue was shocked and opened her mouth, staring blankly at the gift in front of her. This is a 100,000-year soul bone. Shura has seen it in books. Qian Renxue pointed to one of the soul bones and exclaimed in shock. In a corner of the garden, Bibidong, dressed in a gorgeous long dress and with a beautiful appearance, squatted under the corner of the wall. The majestic and cold aura on his face disappeared, replaced by a look of eager envy. You are truly a person from the divine realm, capable of holding your soul bones for 100,000 years. Shura, even my mother envies you a bit. As soon as Bibidong finished speaking, Qian Renxue in the garden did something that almost made her go berserk. Xiaojun, do you really want to give these precious treasures to me? They are really, really valuable. Qian Renxue looked at Zijun with some hesitation and asked. The pile of things in front of me, even if it's Bibidong, the Pope of the Martial Soul Hall. I have never had it before. It can be imagined the rarity of these 100,000-year soul bones. Without hesitation, there is always a piece of this pile of soul bones in this world. It can definitely trigger competition among major forces. Even war. I really gave them all to Shura. These things were all given to me by my landlord father when he was playing with the children. There are still many at home. Lift up the fair little fleshy hand and scratch the small head on the right side. Qian Renxue still cannot accept it, there is no reason for it. Because at this moment, Qian Renxue is pondering how to give Zijun a gift of equal value. After thinking for a while, I couldn't come up with a gift that I could handle. But Shura doesn't have such a valuable gift for you. Seeing the cute appearance of Qian Renxue, Zijun Dragon's heart was greatly pleased. Holding Qian Renxue's palm with both hands, he responded with a serious expression. You have already given it to me, because Shura is the best gift from heaven. Looking at Zijun, who was just a stone's throw away, Qian Renxue's face showed a shy expression, and her heart rippled like spring water. At this moment, Qian Renxue only feels that the young man in front of him is emitting a dazzling light all over his body. Just like the dazzling and charming stars in the night sky. Quickly accepted, Shura. You leaky little cotton jacket. That's 100,000-year-old soul bone. It's still the same set. I'm so anxious to be a mother. In the corner. Bibidong wished he could accept the gift instead of Qian Renxue. But when she thought about Zijun's identity and strength, she could only squat in the corner and be anxious. Fearing that Qian Renxue would not accept it, Zijun released Qian Renxue's hand. Crouch down and hold the treasure on the ground in your arms, urging. Let's go, Shura. How about we give these treasures to your mother and let her decide for you? Upon hearing that Bibidong had decided for her, Qian Renxue nodded in agreement. So the two little ones hugged each other and piled up treasures taller than them, boldly walking towards the main hall. In the corner, Bibidong, who was eavesdropping on the conversation between Zijun and the other person, was so excited that he covered his mouth and smiled coquettishly. Come to my senses. Immediately run into the main hall, tidy up the hem of the skirt on your legs, and sit upright on the throne. Looking at the somewhat monotonous atmosphere, Bibidong found a book. Pretend to flip through it. Walking outside the main hall, Qian Renxue stopped Zijun. What time is it now? Looking up at the sun rising to its zenith, Zijun replied. Around noon. What's wrong, Shura? Pursed her lips, Qian Renxue explained in a low voice. Mother is currently handling official duties at this time, let's come back later. Nodding her head, Zijun turned around and walked down the stairs. Cough cough. Shura. Mother has already finished her official duties. Come on in. The two had just reached the first staircase when Bibidong's voice came from inside the main hall. After all, she is a titled Douluo, in this silent hall. It's not easy to hear the commotion outside the door. This is not. Upon hearing Bibidong's call, Qian Renxue pushed open the main hall door with Zijun and walked in. Seeing the two little guys walking towards her, Bibidong stared at the soul bones in their arms with extreme longing in his eyes. Clenching his fist and coughing, he asked knowingly. I don't know what Shura and Xiaojun are asking me for. Does Shura want to be a mother? Watching Bibidong's poor acting skills, Zijun felt speechless and stood silently on the side. If it weren't for the fear that Qian Renxue would be unhappy, he would really want to expose Bibidong's inconsistent acting skills in person. Whenever Bibidong's gaze fell on the two of them, Zijun felt that she had changed her ways. In the eyes of Bibidong, there is nothing but soul bones. Watching Bibidong become more gentle towards her, Qian Renxue felt great and walked forward to offer her treasure. Mother, these are all gifts from Xiaojun to me, but they are too precious for Shura to accept. End of this chapter.